Hello and welcome to this higher education information evening. My name is Mark Monaghan. I am the Vice Principal for Digital and Communications at BHASVIC. So I'm here just for a little bit of housekeeping, and then I'll pass over to Vicky and Nikki, who are our UCAS leads and our Head of Student Guidance. So in this session, you'll hear about the next steps for university, including student finance, and also that move for young people to university. But behind the scenes, there are a team of people here ready and waiting to answer your questions. Now, we have slightly changed the system we're going to use for question and answers. So instead of you needing to write into the chat on YouTube, you follow the link in the description and also here on the page, and that will take you to a site called Slido where you can submit your questions and then one of the team can review it and answer directly to your question. Now, if a question comes up that you see that you like, you can also upvote someone else's question to let us know that that's really important to you. And if you don't see your question pop up immediately, that's because it sits in for review for us. And really helpfully means that your question and your answer will be together so everyone can see what the question was and what the answer was. No account is required. In the past, you needed to sign into a Google or YouTube account. No account required. Just submit a question and then the team will answer as best they can. Now, at the end of the video, if you're watching on Tuesday, the 25th of March, then the video will end, but the team will still be here for a further 10 minutes after to answer your questions. After that, the Q&A session will close. And of course, if you're watching this at another time, the Q&A is not available. So without further ado, I will now hand over to Nikki. Nikki, over to you.
Hello, everybody. My name's Nikki. I'm the UCAS lead at BHASVIC, a role I've been doing for some time. And thank you for watching our higher education evening, which is about A2 UCAS and student finance. This is a continuation of our first year one, where we covered things like university research. What we will cover here is what happens next with the UCAS applications and student finance. And I'll be at the end handing over to Vicky Johnson, our head of guidance, who'll be talking about preparing for university life and all the support that students would expect from university. So first of all, just a very, very big thank you for listening in. All the stats say that support from home is really vital, as you will be doing your research, and some of the things we'll explain in this session. It will be financial support, but all kinds of support for your young person is really, really helpful in making them successful at university. So a little bit about university offers. So universities have acres of time to reply. They do have to reply by the 14th of May. Many will reply much earlier. Some of your young people will have had all their offers already, but 14th of May is the final deadline. Students will need to respond by the 4th of June. Now, that gives a little window just to make sure that they're making the right decision. If they want to go and visit the university again or go on an open day if it's available, just to really ratify that that decision they're making is correct. So different types of offers. So first is conditional offer, and this is kind of the main offer. And conditional simply means that a university will say, well, yes, you will confirm your place on results day if you achieve certain grades, and it could be BBB, AAA, BCC. They will give those grade conditions. Whether or not universities will be flexible on results day is very dependent on the university and the course, and something you can ask admissions officers if you would like in advance. But conditional offers simply mean an offer with a condition attached, usually grades. Unsuccessful is a rejection, which is always disappointing. But there are 5 university choices for a very good reason. So unsuccessful offers do happen. Unconditional is where there are no conditions attached. They do normally need to finish their level 3 BTEC or A-level courses, but unconditional I think we had about 14% last year. They are often in particular areas, things like creative arts, maybe filmmaking, and subjects where kind of portfolios mean a lot as well. The most competitive unis don't tend to do unconditional. So when students are finalising places, they will have their UCAS track. So that's the hub they log into. They usually do it on their phones. and they will firm and ensure an offer. Now, I always suggest to students they do this on a laptop, not their phone. It's a really important decision to make, and once you've made it, it's very difficult to go back. So if you firm up a wrong offer, then you would have to contact UCAS. But essentially, firming up says, yes, I'm going to accept this and I will go to this university if I meet the offer on results days or result day, or I would accept an unconditional offer. But firming up means all our other offers essentially disappear. Now, students can also make an insurance offer. In theory, this should be an offer that is lower than their grades, so they will get their insurance offer on results day if they don't meet their firm offer. They don't have to make an insurance offer if they want to. They don't want to. On results day, though, if they don't meet their firm offer, they will automatically have their insurance offer. So if they don't want to go to an insurance, don't make an insurance offer. If they're only keen on one uni, just hang fire because they will have that place. What happens if they have their insurance offer and they don't want to go there? If they want to then go into clearing, which is all the places available in results day, they will need to withdraw from that insurance offer. And it's a little bit of faffy. It's the most busy day of the year for universities. So an insurance should also be where they want to go. If they have students change their minds, so we have plenty of students who will change their mind, they can do nothing, just let their offers disappear into the ether. Certainly, students may decide, actually, I'll take a gap year after all. That's fine. They can withdraw everything if they want to, or they could just not reply. Either one. There are mechanisms for if students want to do something else this year, this cycle, and go in September. And I have to say, plenty of students will just leave it and then reapply again next year, of which they get all the support they had this year from BHASVIC. So there's plenty of support for ex-students, and we have a significant number of ex-students applying after they've left BHASVIC and just not even doing anything while they're here. Extra, UCAS Extra is a great tool which is open now, where if students are rejected from all 5 choices, which is quite rare, or they suddenly decide, actually, I don't want any of these unis, any of these choices, they can withdraw everything and then reapply for spaces. And there's lots of spaces and university courses in Extra, and they can go through that mechanism. If your young person is thinking, actually, we have covered it in tutorial, but it's a little bit tricky, but quite simple to show. So get your young person, just contact me, and I'm happy to sit with them and show them UCAS Extra. Adjustment is available on results day for better than expected results, but again, you're dependent on places. And clearing, we always do have students who will go through clearing and pick up a space then. Quite small numbers, actually, adjustment or clearing and extra. So contacting universities. So it's no point nagging universities. They'll make those decisions by the 14th of May. That's their deadline. It can be quite random. Some universities will do offers quickly. Some will take their time. It can vary by department to department. There's no standard. Only that 14th of May deadline. So only new information about applications. So if there's if they've maybe dropped a course, that will be something you would need to tell a university. And including EPQ, we have students dropping EPQ. We tell them to contact the unis, or but lots of things like change of address, etc., can be done themselves on the UCAS hub, and that's on Student Track. So UCAS Extra, I did touch on this, which is for students who've changed their mind, have no offers, and want to start again with a new choice. It's not just for changing one choice. The whole UCAS system would fall apart if that happened. Students do ask me, and I said, well, actually, that's why you have 5 choices. You can't change one of your choices. You literally have to withdraw from everything. But sometimes I would say if it's a student is interested in a different course, they change their mind on their course, but are set on a particular university, actually they can just contact that university and say, actually, I've changed my mind. Would you consider me for the other course? Universities are quite aware of this, and it's not uncommon for this to happen. Um, I wanted to cover additional UCAS information. So Every year, we have students who something happens that does disrupt their learning after their application has gone off to UCAS. Hopefully, in their original application, lots of information has been given about the student, which obviously with their consent, they're involved in the process on their reference. But it may be as ill health. I'm thinking last year we had a case of student who's really impacted with whooping cough. And various health things, but also we had a flood. Somebody was flooded, sadly, in their home. We can tell the universities this additional information. It has to be quite impactful and really disrupt their learning. And quite often, if it's a medical issue, they will require evidence. So it's not something done lightly. It's got to be something quite impactful that they do not live with day to day, and it's kind of happening now. It is different, and I did want to touch on special circumstances. So, special circumstances is when something very specifically happens during the exam period. This is monitored by the exam board, and this really does have to be impactful. It's usually something quite serious. It might be a close bereavement or a broken leg or something really impactful. It's not something that a student lives on day to day. Please talk to tutors, guidance managers, they will help. So, moving on to student finance. So, we have covered this quite thoroughly in tutorial with students. And on the parent and carers page on the website and higher education, I have included a PDF of the PowerPoint. So you can have a bit more, look at the figures a bit more. They are very individual to your household, but I will pick up some common themes to be aware of. So, student finance, firstly, is tuition fee, which is the university cost. This is paid in full for all students, regardless of household income. It is paid straight to universities on enrolment. So, students have to enrol in person, probably very sensible. It's given straight to universities. It's not based on household income, and it's from Student Finance England, so it's borrowed. And in the main, most tuition fees are 9,535 a year. So that's a tuition fee loan going straight to university on enrolment. The maintenance loan is what a student has to live off, what they will pay accommodation, any bills. Food is normally the biggest cost after accommodation. And that's paid in 3 installments in usually September, January, and around April. And this is based on household income. And this is also borrowed from Student Finance England. So, just a very brief example because the figures are on a sliding scale. So, if a student is living at home, the minimum loan they will have, if your household income goes past the threshold, it was about 65,000, but it's worth double checking all your figures. So, would be 3907. Maximum would be 887. So that's quite a substantial amount, even if a student's living at home. Living away from home in London rises quite substantially to 6,813,762. So you can kind of imagine in there it needs the cost of accommodation as well. And most of our students will be living away from home elsewhere. So that's the minimum and the maximum loans, nearly 5,000, 10,500. And I would just kind of note here that accommodation is often around 7,000. So you can see a significant chunk is there of the max, even if you have a maximum loan and of a minimum loan, there will be a shortfall, which sadly will be expected to be paid from home or the student working, savings, getting a job. So, just to kind of reassure a little bit about repayments, because this is obviously a real worry, but they are very manageable. And a student loan is not like a credit card loan, it doesn't show up on any mortgage searches, anything. It's treated quite differently. So, repayments, April after graduation, they don't have to start repaying. It is over 25,000 earnings. So, if they always earn below 25,000, they never pay back any of their student loan. It is 9% of anything above. It's very automatic via your tax code and your national insurance number, and it's just taking out your wage slip automatically. Um, After 40 years, it is wiped off. So if you never earn over 25, they never have to pay anything off. And it does change with income. So how do we apply? So first of all, Student Finance England will cover all of our students. I have to say, for our students who are asylum seekers, pre-settled, settled status, they can most usually apply. So they will apply now, and we have had the information tutorial. We will give them a few nudges, but if you'd nudge them as well. The deadline is May. It's always open March to May and then a yearly window. It's an online application. You can literally Google Student Finance England applying. There will be an ID check. They will need to give your details at home, which is a household income assessment. They will put one university down. Obviously, this is not guaranteed until results date, so just the one they're most likely to go to, and it's confirmed on physical enrolment. A lot of universities, though, will do an online pre-enrolment, so it's always useful to do that. Before I go on to additional funding, I will just mention that household means the household that a student is living in, rather than if they have two parents living in separate households, it's only the parent that the house they're living in. And also, if you have any partner living with a parent, that will also be included in the calculations for student finance. There's loads of really good calculators online for student finance, so it's worth exploring that further. So additional funding, this is essentially free money, and everybody likes free money. So this is how students can access any bursaries, scholarships, or any other entitlements. First thing is disabled student allowance. And this is flagged up on their UCAS application form, and we do really check that all students will enter anything that they need to do so they can access things like disabled student allowance. And this might be, it could be counselling for a mental health condition, it could be physical equipment, a whole range of things. And it's really designed there to kind of level the playing field and ensure that our students with disabled students really get everything they need to school. Universities are very good at making sure students claim all they're entitled to. Other funding, scholarships are there for anybody to apply to. Scholarship Hub is absolutely awesome, and they do. There's all sorts of trusts and vegetarian society that will offer grants, and I'll go on to that in a minute. Bursaries, if they're receiving a bursary at BHASVIC, they will most likely to be eligible for a bursary at university. These differ, and the eligibility differs from each university. We've got some really good information documents on our SharePoint UCAS page, which is internal, sadly, really helpful to help students have a look at their whatever university they're interested in and what they might offer. Any grants and NHS funding for in specific social work, paramedic science, nursing, and other healthcare professions is worth exploring too. Yes, I mentioned scholarships. So this is where very rich people in the past have set up trust funds that students can apply to. It is not paid back, it's free money. Loads of students don't even think of applying for it. It's definitely worth trying. Don't think you're not eligible, you most likely are. And it may well be that you write a 1,000-word essay on being a vegetarian and you get £1,000 a year. It's as simple as that. But there's all sorts of things available. We do advertise them, but they change all the time. 3/4 are successful. But literally encourage your young person to have a look at the Scholarship Hub. It's really, really good. And then going on to finances, budgeting is absolutely key. We have done some really good work in tutorial on um, managing food on a budget because it's a big expense. We did a session on accommodation. We've done wage slips. We've done bank accounts, all sorts of things. But budgeting will be critical. And if you could support your young student by talking to them about budgeting carefully, because they will need to do it at university. And final considerations. If they leave a course early, every university has a really good student services centre. Please encourage them to talk to them. The sooner they talk to them and decide what they want to do, the less student loan they might have to pay back. And the other thing, is they do get 4 years of study. So actually, there is room there. If they've done the wrong course, then they can reapply and go to another course the next year, a wholly different university. My daughter did it. And yes, they have to pay back a year of student loan. But actually, and in my daughter's case, it was really moving a course to what she wants to do, which she works in now. So it was well worth it. So results day, our help desk runs through August. We always think it's really busy on results day, but it never is. We have plenty of staff available for the 2 weeks after, which tend to also be tick along. We do contact every unplaced student in UCAS and say, is there any help we can give? Lots of students will just decide to reapply again at a later date. But there are often options, so let us help, talk to us. We are here. We know it's the summer, but there are plenty of staff. We plan that every year. And I'll now hand over to Vicky Johnson, who's our Head of Guidance, who will talk about the support that your young person can expect from universities. Any questions, please contact me on he@basvic.ac.uk. Really happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Vicky. I'm the Head of Guidance here at BHASVIC. Prior to working at BHASVIC, I was at a university for around 8 years. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the transition from college to university and hopefully give you a few top tips on what to do when you first arrive there and what to expect. So if you had support here at college, especially with your additional learning support, then and you have a diagnosed condition, then hopefully you will put that on your UCAS application and that will be picked up by the university. If there was support here, then there's likely to be support at university. If you are, as many of our students are, flying the nest for the first time, then it might be the first time that some young people have had a chance to kind of look and take care of themselves. And so that could mean actually financially taking care of themselves or even in terms of kind of cooking. So a few top tips for me is to actually talk to your young person about this and get them used to cooking themselves. Batch cooking is great. It's a very cheap way of managing your student finances and feeding yourself healthily. But if you could teach them a few good healthy meals, that would be really good. Also getting ahead of some of those financial issues that you can. We've got an excellent presentation on here delivered by a YouTuber who talks about how to manage money. Any conversations you can have like that will help stop your young person getting into some trouble when they're at university. So yeah, really try and start those conversations early. Of course, remembering that they're going to be 18 and legally adults when they go to university. So universities won't be able to talk to you directly around issues. They will be dealing with that young person and they will have to drive some of the support and some of the extra things that they need while they're at university. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about I'm going to talk to you as parents to how to help support them in making decisions around some of the things, as we've said, on screen. Firstly, I think we'll talk about the physical health. So my first advice, I guess, would be to make sure that you'd register with a local GP, depending on how far away university is from where they're from where we are now. A good thing is to think about vaccinations. Meningitis, MMR, and HPV viruses are a spike at university years. So if you can get vaccinated through those things before you go to university, then that can be really good to kind of get yourself protected. So work with your GP over any medical conditions you've got as well, so that if a young person is going at distance away from home, some of those GP records need to be transferred. So getting ahead of that, being prepared for that. If you've got a long-term a mental health condition, think about succession planning for perhaps any services that you might want to use. Check the local area where the university is to see if there is support services, and talk to your GP about how they can help support that move into the area that you're moving into at university. University campuses will have support services who are well versed at helping young people with these kind of transitions. So taking care of yourself is obviously what we're talking about now. One of the first things that happens at university is Freshers Week, and it can be a fantastic opportunity for young people to mix with other students and know what's going on in the local area. There's usually a Freshers Fortnight, in fact, and it's as a tip would be to encourage your young person to go to that Freshers Week with some of the people perhaps in their accommodation. You can find out, as I said, about all the different services that are happening around the local area and what the university provides at Freshers Fair and in that Freshers induction period, including some external agencies, as I said, that can help you to help yourself or help your young person to help themselves. Okay. So in terms of support from college communities, the setups are very often as a student services, but they recognize that students need support in lots of different areas. There are trained counsellors at university that you can access and refer yourself to. There are also free resources online, self-help resources, and there's also lots of academic-based online workshops that you can access to help build your critical thinking skills and lots of other reference writing skills, for example. So there's a lot of support there. Some universities just subscribe to 24/7 online counselling service. So there's a number that you can call. So if you're in crisis while you're at university, you can dial that number and they will support you through those online services. So accommodation, I guess, is one of the things that people worry about the most. I mean, there's various types of accommodation, from on-site to off-site, from catered to non-catered, university managed or privately owned accommodation. So most students in their first year will be in halls, but that may not be suitable for everybody. It's a question of really what works for you. For example, you wouldn't be paying the extra for catered if you know that you're not a person who gets up for breakfast or wants to be around for evening meals because you're out doing sporting activities, for example. Universities have whole departments dedicated to accommodation and there to support you, and are really well versed at guiding students through that process. They usually start to contact you when you found up your place around late August, and some may ask for deposits. So do check the going rate of rent in that area, as it may be cheaper to live outside. But once you're in your flat, as I said, most will be in a halls of residence. You can join a WhatsApp group. Often universities help set that up before you go. A good top tip would be to bring a doorstop, so that you can open up your door, inviting people in to kind of talk to you. We know young people get homesick and they may be calling home to kind of look for reinforcement with that. So just encourage them to talk to their guidance team there, the student support if they're very worried, but also to try to get involved and get involved in the clubs and societies. The Freshers Fair will be loaded with lots of different societies. Sign up to as many as they can so that they can start to build those social networks. And cooking is great. And that's why cooking as a house is really great social activity to do, and it helps to bind flatmates together. So teach them those recipes. If there are any issues with friendship groups, then there is always mediation that can be accessed at university, and that can be done through student services. There's usually on-site a member of staff who lives on site in halls of residence in some form that you can access outside of college hours for emergencies. But really, it's about reinforcing some of those healthy lifestyles, good sleep, good healthy living. But there are also SSGTs, which are called Student Support and Guidance Tutors. There may be different names for those at different universities, but those are there to help students. So there's a lot of self-help that needs to happen. So if there's an issue, encourage them to talk to university and find that support network. So if you had additional learning support, as I said, at college, then that will be available to you at university. It does need to be a diagnosed condition, and the disability student allowance is what supports some of that extra funding and any additional things that you need to be able to access learning. If there is a need or learning need that's undiagnosed that starts to manifest at university, and it does sometimes, then you can sometimes get access to an educational psychologist. My own example is I was able to get a dyslexic diagnosis at university when I was doing a postgraduate course there, at no extra cost to me, to help support my learning. So talk to somebody if you feel like you need some help. We have, I know Nikki's explained some different avenues of funding, but universities do also have a hardship fund. So you should be able to kind of contact your student services and they can direct you to how to apply for a hardship fund if you need it and you're struggling at university. But my advice is to do kind of the research and make sure you know what's available to you at the specific learning university you're applying for. Oh, another top tip actually in terms of finance is actually see if you can get a job at the university. Most universities will have student ambassadors. They will have students working in their cafes. They will have students as cleaners. And students really appreciate what it's students who are working for the university and understand those needs between balancing academic demands and work. So they're really good employers for students. Often students don't find that out until maybe the second or third year. But if you can go looking for those kind of jobs, then it can be really helpful. I mean, sometimes there are academic issues. If you've got disputes over coursework deadlines or marks, then you can usually go to the school that your subject is in, and you can talk to them, and there'll be policies and procedures around how to deal with that. Also, if you get to university and you feel like you're on the course, there is sometimes leeway to move you. So once you're at the university, we'll try to keep you. So perhaps you could look and talk to those the relevant departments there to see if there is a space available on the course if you want to swap. It is always worth trying before leaving, or equally having that conversation about deferring that place, even once you are there. Do that before you choose to leave if there is an issue. As I said, the personal tutor, the student support guidance team is always there to talk through anything like that. And last but not least, we're always here to help you with any of those conversations. There's a team of guidance managers here. We have Nikki, who is our HE specialist. So if you've got any questions, please do contact us. And we will do what we can to help. Thank you.